look closely and enjoy the match, guys.
Wonderful. So there's a lot to look forward to today, and we hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned.
Oh, hey guys.
Hello.
JJ gives a great interview, I gotta say. Fantastic. It's always a pleasure to watch JJ on camera. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Gwentslam. We are about to get into the semifinals here and then followed by the finals. We saw a pretty crazy series of games Mogwai yesterday. I think that you know, there were a lot of highlights. The Swim and Freddy Titanic best of 5.
I think the longest matchup in the history of Gwen. I think that was. We had some insane moments. I think I loved Gameking versus Panda. That series was exceptional in my opinion. Every single game, especially like the fourth game, was so good, and the second one too. And I really like Meleeman. I'm a Meleeman fan, especially after that Dole Blast and that Trapper Drought moment yesterday. That was like. That was so epic. I love it.
There's a lot going on. Like I think that the Meleeman games were that series gave us everything. I think that Meleeman versus Atsakov was absolutely fantastic, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Gameking, like Swim mentioned, Gameking's been talking about this spicy deck that he really wants to play. His words, and I think we don't know anything about it. We aren't given deck lists ahead of time.
He did mention that multiple times though. He says spicy. He even made like the clean mark. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it because if it's the deck that we didn't see yesterday. It's John Calvate.
I think, it would be Nilfgaard.
So the greatest faction of them all, baby.
We'll have to see. And we're going to get a look at those bands in just a second. Taking a look at the bracket right now, you can see how the day played out yesterday. Panda and Gameking took it to 5 games. Atsakov and Meleeman also 5 games. Freddy Beams and Swim, they think they played for like 2.5 hours, I think, because of the mill matchups and some technical difficulties. And it was something to behold.
Yeah.
And then Shaggy just took it down 3-0 against Tides.
I think at this point, Shaggy is the man to beat. I think out of all the Gwen competitors, even though obviously the Gwen competitive scene is still very young, Shaggy has been the player that has impressed me the most out of like consistency and just his ability to be so dominant again and again. And the other, most of these matchups, people were so. The players was just so evenly matched that it came down to the wire. Like Panda and Gameking was so good. Like Panda was so dominating at the beginning, and Gameking was able to reverse sweep, but he struggled. And he had to work for that win. He had to really work
for sure.
And Meleeman with the upset over the number 1 player in the pro ladder was also. A super entertaining series to watch, especially because of the combination of Meleeman's skill and also, he's fun to watch playing. Like he's very expressive. And Freddy Bates was swimming. That was excellent too. And here we have the Gameking himself with his lineup. He did get John Calvate banned yesterday.
He did. Panda just didn't want anything to do with Nilfgaard.
I'm very intrigued about that.
He was scared. Like Gameking's been talking about his Nilfgaard deck, and it got a little bit of a reputation. And Panda just thought maybe
spicy.
Maybe we're not gonna play against that, but we might see it in this matchup coming up.
Yep, I'm very excited to see Gameking play, and I'm like this matchup is just so. I was really looking forward to it. I'm a big fan of both of these players.
Yeah.
Meleeman has, like I said, I became a fan instantly, and I'm like him facing against Gameking. Like I honestly, I want both of them to win.
It's really great. I mean, like this tournament we've seen really great players maybe make some misplays. We've seen some out of nowhere things. We've seen because we didn't get deck lists in advance, we were kind of surprised by some of the things that were showing up, and some of the tech choices, some of the gold inclusions, and some of the decks bringing the decks. This has just been updated now. It is correctly showing Radovid as Meleeman's leader. I believe it was only Tides of Time that did not bring Northern Realms. Northern Realms pretty well represented. Dagon very well represented at this point. Never banned. Just kind of good old stable, reliable Dagon. Just you can set your clock to him. Dagon's going to be there, and
both Northern Realms were banned.
That's not.
We're gonna see Nilfgaard.
We're gonna see lots of Nilfgaard today, I think.
Yeah, boy. I'm very excited to see because I love Meleeman's Nilfgaard deck and cause it's spies and I love spies, but I want to see what the spiciness is all about. I don't know about you.
I think that the marquee match might be seeing Gameking's Calvate that he was talking about. Just not even kind of trying to low key talk about it. Like I got a Nilfgaard deck. I'm excited to play. This guy Gameking's when he talks about Gwent, it's like watching somebody talk about something that this really love more than anything.
Yeah.
And It's just both of these guys have been great to meet and great to hang out with, and just being able to very comfortable hanging out here. You know, you can strike up a conversation with anybody here about Gwent, and you got a lot of different viewpoints about the game, like the overarching game, like the finer details of the game. And Meleeman and Gameking getting ready to start off the first game of the semifinals to determine who's going to go to play for the big prize pool. And
here we go.
All the glory.
It's gonna be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. I heard Dagon. I don't know if the match has already started, but I have a feeling like Dagon has been a pretty consistent lead actually.
Yeah,
in a lot of these matchups. It's been it's a reliable choice. It's not nearly as oppressive as it was before in the Gwent together, where it got banned the majority of the time. But it is a reliable deck to lead with because I feel like it's the most flexible when it comes to matchups. It can technically beat anything, you know.
It's important to note, though, that Freddie Babe's Dagon list is actually wildly different from maybe what would be considered traditional or commonplace in the ladder. So,
very similar hand here by both players, by the way.
It's true. We're going to see, just like yesterday, and just like a couple of the series yesterday, we're going to open up with a Monster Mirror, and both of these decks are similar. We have seen, at this point, we've seen the players play these decks before, as yesterday. So we because we don't have deck lists in front of us, we will be being reminded. Everybody brought Dagon, so all of the lists are just minor variations. Seeing Meleeman just starting up with a pretty common first play here, setting up with the Harpies to start. Vran's got to have his breakfast too. The omelet bar is open for Vran right now.
And we're going to see the Woodland Spirit immediately being dropped by Gameking. This is a very powerful play when the Gwen flip goes in your favor. Even though he's not playing Roach, so it's not nearly as devastating of a tempo play. But it's still, Meleeman has to make a 13 strength play to stay in here.
Yep.
Or, an 11-1 that generates fog. So he may have to respond with his own Woodland Spirit. Or he may, I like this option too, because if he goes Ekimara, even if his opponent passes. Yeah, okay, he got the Harpy. Okay, I forgot about the Harpy. Okay,
I mean, it's really tough. Like the amount of tempo that Woodland Spirit offers you when you are going second, it really makes it very difficult for the opponent to catch up. Meleeman also holding his own Woodland Spirit and having probably overall, I would say, a more potent hand with his gold options. Caretaker obviously will show up a little bit later, but he can hold on to Woodland Spirit, or he can choose to play it if he needs to. On the ladder it's a little different. Sometimes you'll see like really really early passes. A lot of people value that card advantage quite highly, where it's like you see an opportunity to get it.
Against monsters, it's very difficult against monsters to retain card advantage. So because it's just such a solid faction, and they have so many different ways of always staying afloat and keeping up with whatever number you generate. And I think in this matchup, the key point is going to be the silvers. I think that's where both decks differ the most. I think their silver lineup is rather different. I'm pretty sure. What was the Water Hag's name now?
It's Abea now, yeah. And I think that as Meleeman now is considering kind of evening up the power on the board here, applying his own fog. We saw Gameking use the Vran to eat the Foglet. That will come out of the graveyard if Dagon is played later this round. So
other players playing
is
Roach,
great.
by the way.
And talking about the silvers, Gameking's running Giant Toad, one of my favorite monsters cards actually. Who probably it's better than it's ever been now because it draws the card first.
Yeah.
And you can do a lot of stuff. I think it's great when you want to run Archgriffins to counter weather.
Exactly.
In a matchup where you don't need to clear the weather.
Yep.
Great Toad food and just generally that extra consume just to build up the Necker strength. And I think that's a great inclusion, great silver inclusion. I try to use the Toad as much as I possibly can. Something about that card just feels good. I love cycling cards.
No, it's a fun card too. It's powerful, and it also like whatever card that can change your hand in the middle of a game. That's always fun.
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of similar gameplay here. Like both of these decks have the same goal: weather attrition, building up as many consume instances as possible to help your Neckers are. Win condition in a lot of situations in round 3 as they grow and grow over time. With every time something gets consumed by the Vrans, Ekimara, the Giant Toad, the Katakan, the Kran, you see a lot of these effects. We're going to see a lot of that consume animation, and both of these decks, both of these players are kind of just employing the same strategy here, feeding the Vrans, trying to establish carryover. Clearing weather, in this case, both players do hold the Archgriffin, which does clear the weather, and we're going to see some Foglet tennis, I think. A little back and forth on the Foglet.
Yeah, it's very interesting because both players' hands are starting to differ at this point. Gameking does have... He has double Ekimara and Katakan and Caretaker. Katakan and Caretaker are going to be difficult to apply this round. I like that immediate Archgriffin to return the Foglet to his own graveyard. And no more Foglet switching, because both Archgriffins have been played, and they have been played before Dagon has been applied. So I expect a Fog. I think this is a perfect turn to Fog, really, unless he's trying to preserve that for a different round. It's going to be interesting to see how he plans, like which round he plans on using Miracle's Hailstorm. It has a decent amount of value right now against Gameking. It can also deny the egg consumption too, but obviously that's a card that you always want to preserve for, as late as possible, because, the more strength your opponent generates, the more value you would get from it. As Random Warrior hits the melee row and eats a Harpy, it puts Meleeman at 39 points.
Yeah, just enough to get ahead here. I think that in the monster matchup, you do have the luxury of matching your opponent in plays. We saw the Woodland Spirit come down. I think that we're going to see Dagon answer Dagon. I wouldn't be surprised. But then, as you said, the hands do start to differ. In Meleeman's case, I think it's fortunate that both of them are holding Caretaker, because Caretaker doesn't really hold a lot of value in round one, unless it's like very specific circumstances that are created. But Caretaker being able to resurrect a card from your opponent's graveyard, it's such a strong card, especially in this current meta, but in round one doesn't help you that much. The fact that both players hold it, it's kind of a wash at that point. Both players had Woodland Spirit. Here comes Dagon down for Gameking, and we're going to probably see Meleeman consider answering in the same way. Meleeman can't really fall behind at this point. Going first, especially in this mirror, like Meleeman won't really ever have an opportunity to go up on cards, I think, on Gameking. So staying afloat and doing his very best to win this round, or pass in the best possible position. Because if he can't make up the score, I think at this point, midway through round one, 5-6 cards in, that's when the pass is probably at its most its strongest.
Right now, he does have the carryover advantage, but only Miracle's Hailstorm can actually put him ahead. Not even his own Dagon will do that, because he will miss out on 1 point. He is forced to play a Dagon. I think that's a very solid Hailstorm. Sometimes a player can commit, the error of keeping Hailstorm for too long and then having a round 3 in which it just provides you very little value. I like that play there. It denies the egg consumption from Ran. It puts him in a nice lead, and he's still holding on to that weather. But obviously, the more the round advances and the less cards they have, the less impactful or valuable weather is going to be. So he does. I would think it would be good for him to try to play Dagon the next turn if he can. I
think a lot of people will probably refer to this meta as the Hailstorm meta. Since its prevalence in the meta it's just everywhere, and I think that one of the reasons why Marigold's Hailstorm is so great is that even though it is a greedy card, it's almost always going to find value in any round you want to actually make that decision to use it. And
now,
the greedy thing is keeping it into and then maybe losing a little bit of value, but it's not like Scorch where you can miss an opportunity. It just usually it just gets better and better.
Yeah. Meleeman has a very interesting line of play that he could potentially go for. He could set a Fog in the Cease row, damage the Ekimara once, and then follow that up with Mrs. Abaya, the beautiful Abaya, or whatever her name is, and hit that row again with a Manticore Venom and putting that Ekimara at 6 strength so you can Karen it. Deny the carryover, have a very powerful swing, and I think that's a very strong line of play, and he may be looking to do that.
Well, we're definitely going to see Abaya played right now, and in the mirror when
he's actually going to go for Clear Skies. Okay, that's also good.
Yeah, I mean, but you made a good point. I mean, the carryover right now is equal in the most recent patch. The carryover units, resilient units, they do stay round to round, but they lose their boosts. So that's just going to be 6 and 6. But you want more, obviously. Like you want to be able to prevent your opponent from passing on you immediately in round 2, forcing, like in Meleeman's situation, since he went first, no spies have come out. So it is at the moment, Gameking does have the last say. Does have the most to gain from winning this round, and Meleeman can be punished if he's not able to make up the score at any point in this round. So it's probably just going to end up being a score deficit that will force Meleeman into a pass, or Meleeman can just outpower Gameking.
The thing now see this is an issue because the first Ekimara denied the ability for Meleeman to not have to open it would make him vulnerable to the open pass because they will have the same strength. Now he's actually behind in carryover, and this is actually an issue. I think if he's gonna go Dagon, he should do it now. The more he waits out on it, the worse it's gonna be.
I think he may respond with his own Ekamara just to even out the carryover situation once again. It doesn't really prevent an open pass from Gameking should Gameking win this round, but it's still better than being down.
I think that Karen ladder play could have been really good. A plague. Because the thing is, like, I think in this mirror, perhaps the most key thing is to deny the carryover. Like, make sure you always, because it just makes a whole, like, it makes the entire difference. Like that, for example, that one strength heartbeat that the eggs leave behind, like, that is the difference between being susceptible to like lose card advantage or not. Like that makes a difference. It actually makes a difference. It's very difficult if monsters manage to win round 1. It's very hard to be able to retain card advantage against them because of the mixture of high tempo plays and the carryover that they have. And Necker hits the board, putting Gameking to 48 strength points. And Meleeman, I think now's the time to take on Rowan.
I mean, it's interesting. Like we've seen it. Like the carryover established from Gameking, Meleeman will answer, and then Gameking develops the second Ekamara. Meleeman answered with Dora Gray, and now the Necker's down. There's no real answer for that because the Necker is also more carryover. The most potent carryover is still in this game. Since even though we just talked about how resilient units do persist round on round, but they lose their boosted green strength, the way Neckers work, since they replace themselves, they retain their boost because it's really the other unit from the deck.
Feels bad.
This is a tough, it's tough to pass on even cards in this situation, and Gameking is very, especially since the round went deep enough, I wouldn't be surprised to see Gameking just pass here, and then Meleeman just has to make up the difference here.
It's what we were talking about earlier, like about K-Ran, like yesterday. It's a very powerful card in certain matchups like Northern Realms and Nilfgaard, but in the Monster Mirror, it doesn't really do much. You have to like really work to be able to. Obviously, Panda played an excellent K-Ran yesterday against Gameking, being able to consume a Necker after hitting it with Hailstorm. Like that was one of the highlight plays of yesterday, I think. But it's something that you got to really work for. K-Ran is a rather awkward card.
Gameking applying some significant pressure here, actually going ahead and just cycling his last Necker into.
He's going, and he wants to punish him. He wants to get a lot out of him. He's gonna decide. Obviously, like he has Old Gear too. Like Old Gear really incentivizes that. Just going all in.
Yeah. I mean, he's got Olgierd, he's got Toad for some potential. In fact, Toad into Olgierd is fantastic. You get Olgierd back in the third round. You get all the strength that Olgierd would represent, plus you get to cycle a card, and you get the 14-point silver in the Toad. It's a great combo right there. Gameking is actually applying a lot of pressure. I think that he's trying to close this one out right now.
I think Dorgaray made happen here. Or Arch Griffin. Arch Griffin is great.
Yeah,
Arch Griffin is super solid.
Meleeman's got a hill to climb right now. He's got a decent hand. It's just it's tough. I think to be in this position right now in the mirror.
Yeah, Gameking, like he's definitely punishing Meleeman right now for he's capitalizing on the fact that he won on an even score when it comes to cards, and he has so much power. The thing is, like, Meleeman does have a Karen, but he hasn't even managed to draw a Necker yet. I think he has to hope to do that with the Giant Toad. He needs that help with the carryover. Otherwise, he will not be able to defeat the combination of Necker and Olgierd.
Well, I do believe that's the last Necker.
That is the last
Necker
Necker
on Gameking.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you're using the term punish, and I feel like that's a little hard on Meleeman at this point, because I think that in this mirror, considering the potency of Gameking's hand and his decision to develop what he developed, I think that in a lot of cases, this feels like, especially when two decks are this similar, I think that Gameking just took full advantage of his position on the turn.
Yeah.
And on like his last action, being able to go second, but like really like took advantage of that. I think that this game would have played remarkably differently in the inverse. Normally, I think a lot of people get hung up on the coin, and I think that it's definitely a hot topic of discussion. A lot of times, many decisions over the course of the game is really what influences the outcome, and especially in these tournaments. And we were talking about this with the guys this morning. Like the way that these tournaments go, like no one's playing perfectly, so it's hard to really just look at the stat of the coin. But in this particular game, I think that Gameking is taking full advantage of the coin.
He is. That definitely. And you could, like, obviously, maybe it's a little bit of bad English on my part, but obviously there's not much to, like, he's not, like, punished. Meleeman has played very well, I think, correctly, but he's definitely not. Like, the fact that he lost the coin flip and he isn't able to get his own carryover, is definitely he's in a very tough spot here, and he's also looking at his opponent's graveyard. And the thing is, Caretaker doesn't have a powerful play because
really.
there's no good target.
You could take Olgerd if you were worried about it, but it's not even like. I mean, what he could do though, I mean, is Meleeman is running Neckers. He can actually take a Necker with Caretaker, and that actually secures the replacement in the third round. It looks like that.
No, he played Catachan.
Oh, this is the Catachan.
Yeah.
My apologies, folks.
Yeah, but Necker would be excellent actually.
But we're talking about the future of like
but
I think
if
will be forced into
he's gonna
playing it.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's in a position in which I think he's gonna be. He's in a big risk of like at this point. Like, how do you deny the 2-0? Like realistically,
it's like super tough right now. Like the here comes character. Like everything has to come out at this point. Gonna go with the Vran to actually Vran is its points are Meleeman's problem. He's not getting out of this round at all at this point. So he's trying to just get the absolute most value, but the deficit is too, especially with this hailstorm. Just gonna seal the deal here. Gameking dominant performance in the mirror right here. Meleeman's gonna go down. Gameking's going to take it. There it is, the forfeit for you. Gameking taking the first game of the semifinals, best of 5 right now. I mean, we talked a lot about the matchup during that game. So, I mean, we covered a lot of that stuff, but it was, I think that, like, Dagon in general, I kind of like the Consume hybrid right now. I mean, is it even really hybrid? Dagon's the leader. It's just Dagon's the Consume leader.
They call it a hybrid because when you think about Consume, you think about Unseen Elder because he's kind of like the leader that's built for the archetype. And it's technically not a full Consume deck because you don't have a Rocket's Behemoth. Like it doesn't have the full package.
Yeah.
But I like the term. I consider it like I said yesterday. It's kind of like mid-range in that sense. I think I'm happy where Dagon is now. I've been a very big monster hater in the past. But I'm happy where it is now. It's strong, but it's not oppressive, like we've said numerous times. And Gameking has gotten the victory with Dagon. The question now is, will Meleeman follow up with another Dagon game? Or will he try to mix it up? I'm very excited to see his Brewer, actually. That is his favorite leader. And it could be some sort of, like, dwarf deck. I'm actually, like, very... I'm looking forward to, like, Meleeman's Brewer, and I'm looking forward to the spiciness from Gameking.
The spicy... Yeah, Gameking...
Yes!
Well, this could be...
It's a mirror!
You can see Gameking's face.
It's a mirror! I can hear it. It's a mirror.
Gameking's been waiting for this moment, I think, and the fact that he was able to advance after it being banned here. So let's take a look at Gameking. Spotter, Nausicaa Brigade,
Wait, what?
Standard Bearers. This seems like it's got everything.
Yes!
Nilfgaardian Knight and Infiltrators. Nice. Okay.
Okay. This is definitely spicy. Oh man, is this like a is this like a soldier deck?
It's a
soldier deck.
It's a matchup with the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer, yet to be seen in this tournament. A decent card
with
a decent
Iris
setup card with Iris as well. This is gonna be really. I'm looking forward to seeing.
I love Gameking as a deck builder. He always surprises me. This is insane.
It's a reveal. Soldiers.
Why was this banned yesterday?
Yeah, I think that's part of the appeal right now. I think that it's so great, and you know, everybody knows Mogwai is like a huge Nilfgaard fan. So seeing basically a new deck competing right now, and we're gonna get to see how it plays against an established powerful deck, it's spy deck of Meleeman.
Let's go. Gameking is gonna play first. I think it would be normal to expect a Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer lead, but the problem is that it is susceptible to the likes of Assassin that can be spawned from Kalak. So if he does lead off with that, I wouldn't be surprised to see it go down. I think Gameking is aware of the possibility, so he's trying to wait out. Because the thing about Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer, you may think that it's a unit that want to be early, but as long as you don't play any soldiers, you can play, you can wait for it. You don't have to rush it.
For sure, and there's a weird kind of like pseudo-greediness about Standard Bearer. It's a great setup card. It generates a lot of value over a long round, but because he has an initial buff, you kind of want to have something on the board already.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's hard to commit that first Standard Bearer.
Yeah.
But instead, it looks like Gameking's going to go ahead and just play just a John Calvert 13-point, get a card out of his deck here, and here come the Enforcers. So we were talking about how Nilfgaard Spy is fairly well represented in this tournament, very well represented as far as Nilfgaard players generally on the ladder. So we're familiar with how this plays out. We know Meleeman's got win conditions in Joachim de Vet. Rainfarn has really powerful ways to kind of change the flow of the game with Cantarella or even play Iris. We saw Iris a lot yesterday. And of course, Meadow Corhorn can close some stuff out with Infiltrators. Gameking, on the other hand, since this is a very interesting combination of cards, what Gameking's journey to victory looks like, because we actually only see the opening hand here.
I think this deck really thrives on. I love this. He's not rushing the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer, and he's actually setting up a Nausicaa Brigade kill there. For any players who are wondering what the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer does, it's that 7 strength unit that you see in Gameking's hand. It's a very interesting unit that actually, a card that was released not too long ago, really. What it does is it has a deployability of buffing a unit by 2, and every single time a soldier is played from your hand, you get to buff something again, but not randomly. Like, you choose what to buff. So it's kind of like the Imperial Enforcer in that sense. Like, it's an ongoing effect, and it's a card that can really snowball and generate you insane amounts of value if it's not dealt with. But as of now, Meleeman definitely has the answer. As long as he keeps his Kalak, as long as he has Kalak, he has a way to immediately deny that, which is important.
Yeah, it's interesting how the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer, and you're talking about one of the newer cards added to the game as well as Infiltrator, and the changes to the Emperor Enforcer is a very different card right now, essentially basically a new card, employing the new mechanic of being able to choose the in the Enforcer's case, it's a ping, but in the Standard Bearer's case, it's a boost. But being able to actually control that is new, and Nilfgaard is taking the most advantage of that, having 2 units, and Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer is very much kind of a foil to the Enforcer, which is just getting obliterated here by Leo Bonhart.
This Leo Bonhart is so strong. Not only does he get rid of the Imperial Enforcers and denies all the potential value it could get, it also sets up for 14 strength spotters, as he reveals it in Guardian Knight. Not one to read Cantarella. Obviously, like, if you know your opponent has Cantarella, that does affect your decision making a lot. That's like the most, I think you could argue, is the most powerful resource for Nilfgaard. And he doesn't want to let his opponent know that he has it. Meleeman can imagine that he has it, but he wants to make sure that it's not, complete there. And the thing is, it's important to note that the spotters are soldiers.
Yes, they are.
The Nilfgaardian Knight is a soldier. So there are 4 soldiers in his hand right now, including the Nausicaa Brigade, and I think we're definitely going to see Kalak immediately from Meleeman here to eliminate that unless he passes. Yep. He's gonna have
this may be an assassination right here.
Yeah,
an assassination attempt on the Standard Bearer's life right now. Standard Bearer not seeing tournament play until I think this moment. Actually,
yeah,
I think
this is so cool.
It's not even that. Awesome. It's not even that the Standard Bearer is by any stretch of the imagination not good. It's just that it's by Nilfgaard and kind of the more refined archetype of what Nilfgaard has shown to do.
He's
not bothering.
Oh, that's risky.
I wonder if the Standard Bearer is going to make the difference here.
Now he's setting it up. Now he's setting it up. But the thing is,
Nausicaa Brigade is going to take care of it if it doesn't get boosted.
Yeah, there's no way Gameking can prevent that from Newt. If he had like a Nausicaa Standard Bearer, he could make it so that he could buff his own Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer. There's a bit of a play on words there.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about Gameking's deck, and I think Cantarella might show us something interesting. Like, I'm wondering if Cynthia's in this deck, since it seems to be kind of like a reveal spy.
Yeah.
But soldier, like by maybe the best definition of a hybrid deck that we have seen. I mean, we did see Tides of Time have a very interesting dwarf deck that seemed to be doing a lot of stuff at once. And I think that as far as this is concerned, though, I think we may see. I'm interested in watching this strategy materialize. The reason I was about to just comment on the reveal on the Nilfgaard over Cantarella, that to me told me that Gameking was very sure that he was going to play Cantarella soon because of the spotters. He wants the spotters to be able to benefit from that Nilfgaardian Knight. The Nilfgaardian Knight's going to stay in his hand probably until the end of the game here.
The Cantarella play here reverts the coin flip in favor of Gameking, as we're going to see Rain Farm potentially to his own Cantarella. I think that's definitely a play that he can afford.
Yeah. Playing those card advantage spies, you give your opponent points, you get the card. Very powerful effect, and it's great to be able to combat spies with spies.
That's a good card there. That assassination, that's a nice pull.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't necessarily need it as of now, but at the very least, it's going to be a 16 strength swing, which is very nice. We do see both Cantarellas being played means that from this point onwards, card advantage is going to be more stable, if that makes any sense. It's not going to open pass is definitely a very solid play from here on because you don't have to worry about your opponent having a spy. You can push hard in the round too. So basically what happened is the coin flip was reverted for Gameking, and now it's back to where it originally started. Triple spotter though, like the fact that Meleeman took his time to play Cantarella gives that Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer one more turn of life, and that means 2 more value. And I would make an argument for just going for a spotter here. It's an excellent play. But Menno, this is a very okay.
This is super aggressive, but I mean, the power that Menno's providing right now is really huge in Gameking's position, where he's being again, we're talking about a mirror and we're talking about going first versus going second. Gameking being able to if he's able to establish a lead, he can probably look at we see the power in Gameking's hand. The spotter is able to buff itself by any revealed card in any player's hand. So all those spotters are 14 strength right now, as long as that standard bearer stays in Gameking's the Nilfgaardian Knight stays in Gameking's hand, and there's still a lot of potential with Iris and the Nausicaa Brigade.
This deck is so cool.
Like, I don't like Gameking's power output in this round right now seems hard to beat without Meleeman basically committing some of his best cards. Gameking is only committing his bronzes.
Yeah, and the key, well, he
except
has...
for Mano and Leo, obviously.
The pass.
Pass on the
Gaming with
tie right here.
Forcing Meleeman to play one more card. I think you can definitely... you definitely go for the win here, and then perhaps a dry pass. I think something like perhaps Van Hemar is a good play.
I mean, we see it right now. Like, we see the hands, but I think that Meleeman, it's scary to go into sudden death right here. We're going to see
a tie. We're going in. In case anybody was wondering, when a round ends in a tie, both players technically win.
Yep.
So the winner of this round wins the whole match. It's sudden death, boys. Let's do this.
Meleeman with the Hailstorm draw will play very well here.
He has a very strong hand,
but
though.
I mean, Gameking's got a lot of Gameking. I'd feel pretty confident. I mean,
dude, this hand is fire.
It's possible that with the Nausicaa Brigade, I think it's tough to. He's going to mulligan the Guardian.
The Guardian, okay.
Unfortunately for the Guardian,
that's a great lead though. Like, obviously it's not the best round for it, but it's a good card to like lead off with. Basically, he can play that and then he can go for the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer. Right now, Meleeman does have a way to deal with the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer, and if he doesn't do so, those spotters are going to represent a lot of value. Like those spotters are 14 strength each, and if that Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer is, sticks, they're 16 strength.
And it's starting to become clearer and clearer to me. Gameking looking to have like high strength, high value units for spotters and the reveal mechanic. I wonder if I'm still curious if Cynthia's in the deck, but we didn't see. There was no necessary. I mean, it's possible. That's a very strong play.
I like this
the
lead.
Guardian. I mean, the Guardian.
It's the best lead. It's the best lead. It's the most like you don't have to commit anything to playing this card. It's just enough stats. If you kill it, then that will work against your favor. So
Vico Varo basically. Oh, he's going to go for the thin. He had options. Meleeman had some options, I think.
Shame I have no time.
Oh, double enforcer
Double
is very, very strong.
Makes this a great setup right now for.
This is nuts. This is wow. That's very dangerous.
Meleeman is primed right now. I mean, there's a lot of options. I mean, Assassinate deals with the Standard Bearer, and like Kahir and John Calvett's still available for Meleeman, and Joachim Devet we know is just a powerhouse of a card, especially if it pulls a Nausicaa Brigade, which would just basically make it a 19-point play.
Gameking has a very his hand is is deceptively strong. He has a lot of power in the spotters, and he has an insane finisher with Iris right there in combination with the Nausicaa Brigade. But Meleeman still has John Calvett and Kahir and Joachim. Like that's a very strong package. And Marigold Hailstorm, it seems like it is gonna this is the thing we were talking about yesterday. Like this Nilfgaard spy deck from Meleeman has a lot of reactive cards.
Look at Meleeman just dealing with this immediately.
See, but this is the thing. He kills that, but now the Guardian triggers.
But Guardian's locked in the graveyard. I actually am not
positive. No, the assassination was changed, and now it doesn't lock when it kills.
Oh, I apologize. I thought
it was a bug before, apparently.
Okay.
So this is going to affect, this is going to weaken both his Calveit and his Kahir. Like, that's actually really important here. It's the first time I see, the Guardian actually providing you with, good value in round 3.
Okay. I mean, it's really interesting. There's a lot of unknowns right now in Meleeman's deck. We don't know what Calvert or Kahir or Joachim are going to do for sure. We do see everything for Gameking. We know all the spotters are 14 strength. We know that Iris is going to represent 20. The Nausicaa Brigade is going to represent 9 points. And then the Standard Bearer, the Nilfgaardian Knight finally for 10. We see
the double with the lesser Guardians.
I stand corrected. My apologies about the
No, it was a bug. Like before that, it actually was like that. But this is huge. Like this really weakened.
Yeah,
I think Meleeman is realizing now. He's realized he didn't realize before when he killed the Guardian.
He is making the same assumption that I think I just made here about the locking. There was a state where it was live.
Yeah, not too long ago actually.
Lock.
But it was a bug. It was actually a bug because that's how assassination used to be until it got reworked. And when it got reworked, they considered that it dealing 8 damage twice and locking the units would be a little bit too much. So
I mean, there's not a lot of huge application. Meleeman, look at him and look at Meleeman in the camera right now. He is looking
he just weakened two of his most powerful cards so much because he has to get those Guardians out of there because Joaquin will pull them. That's so huge.
I mean, K here right now is they're on top of the deck right now. K here is
that Guardian was insane. Like that Guardian was so good.
And there's Mano, and it's tough, right?
But he has like this is.
I mean, he doesn't have to. It just means that his Joaquin is just going to be a Guardian. Like he's just going to get a Guardian. It's going to be
that Guardian. It was so good.
Yeah, the Guardian really good here, and it's really interesting. You can see how like some of the underrepresented cards. I mean. 4 people are involved right now. You and I are casting. Gameking and Meleeman are playing. 50% of us actually had the different idea of assassination right there. And the Guardian, Gameking, all about it though.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's so that's insane. But oh man, like that's so impactful. Like Meleeman is in big trouble now. I don't think Meleeman can actually. Keep up with this.
It's like seriously, the Guardian was the game changer here because Meleeman had a lot of potential.
This
power.
Hailstorm is good though.
Calvin K here and Joaquin and basically nullified like the potential, like really gummed up Meleeman's possible like victory win conditions there. So
this Hailstorm is nuts.
Hailstorm is going to be very strong.
And he revealed the Nausicaa Brigade, not Iris. That's very huge because now he's going to go for the Hailstorm before Iris procs. Well, he would have done so anyways because he doesn't have last say. But that Hailstorm is very powerful.
I'm so
But I think wait, is that?
Well, the players are going to play this out here. We're going to probably see it.
Okay, the armor from the Guardian Knight is really going to come into play here. But he has exactly 5 units. Oh, but he's
going to get all 20.
It's 25. I think
it's so close.
Is this a tie? It's
a
tie.
Oh my
It's
god!
a tie.
What a mirror right there! What a mirror!
What happens if they tie?
Well, no, they're gonna have to regame this. I'm pretty sure. Like I'm
Oh
almost
my
100% sure. Seeing a tie in a tournament. It's rare. I mean, in Challenger
That's
we saw Noxious and PPD tie one up in a Monsters mirror. The mirrors have that. I think I would love to know the stats. Anybody who has access to something like this, I would love to know what the stats are in mirror games tying specifically. Is it more common for a mirror game to tie? But those were very different decks.
Well,
so.
yeah, exactly. Like it's a mirror, but the decks that just function so different. Like that was. I really like that list.
Yeah,
it's so unique.
I'm
it's
like
so,
not even upset.
Gameking is such a cool deck builder, dude. I love it. I love it. Like, and the Guardian actually, like, what's the funniest thing about that game is that the Guardian actually got massive value.
Oh yeah.
In round 3.
Yeah.
Like that you'll see that. You know.
Like as soon as Meleeman saw, like as soon as he played Calvet, it was just I'm in trouble now. Like that could cost me the game. And Meleeman now he knows though. We're gonna regame it. Okay.
Regame.
It's gonna be regame as we expected. The thing is now that Meleeman's not going to make that mistake again about the lock. But is there a way to really? Guardian is still going to bother him.
Yeah,
it's
is.
Still going to bother
especially
him.
if he like draws it in round 1. Like it's
it
kind of
was-
like Swears in that way. It's so good when you draw it at the beginning. And against Calvate, it's actually pretty powerful because it really weakens it. So I think maybe Meleeman will adapt this time around and try to utilize his Calvate earlier on so it doesn't get as disrupted. But then again, Joaquin also gets disrupted. So it's kind of it's weird to say. We see Cynthia this time around though. That's very good for Gameking as a lead. And then if Guardian State, this is a pretty solid looking hand actually. Especially I like the
Cynthia,
and he has the Guardian.
So Cynthia is in the
This
deck
is
here.
a really good hand for Gameking. This is excellent. This is outstanding.
I think that it's. I
This is really-
realized the game, the last game we had, the round 1 tie went right into the tie round 3. I think that was probably the best situation for Meleeman to be in because the Guardian does impact you round like over to the next round, and the unfortunate situation where Meleeman didn't realize that the Death Wish wouldn't go off when Assassination triggered on it was like knowing that could have changed the outcome of the game. Just obviously, I mean we saw how it really affected him.
This
We're gonna
time
see
the
Guardian
coin flip.
play, yeah.
Is happened in the contrary, and because I'm not it was Gameking who mulliganed away Cantarella. Cynthia doesn't really have a big target here. Cynthia's only going to be 11 strength plus the Imperial Golem that will be spawned out of the deck. But Gameking, this is such a good hand for round 1. Cynthia to lead off with, and then he has 2 very like. Non-reactive plays, so he can actually just he doesn't need to like it doesn't matter what Meleeman plays here.
Yeah,
and that's very important because that's one of the weaknesses of Nilfgaard. They have a lot of times they have trouble like starting up. You saw Meleeman having to lead off with the Imperial Brigade. You don't generally want to do that, but in this case, Gameking is just very easy plays to make. I think this is easily a Guardian here.
I think it's a little bit more clear now when Gameking led off the previous match, the mirror that just ended in a tie. He led off with Calvit. He was looking for the Guardian or Cynthia because those are fantastic opening plays, fantastic opening plays, and I think that. Where in a game where going second is beneficial in a lot of ways, having those very strong opening plays. I mean, Cynthia is one of my favorite opening cards because of the value you can generate from the Golem.
It thins your deck as well.
You get a little bit of information as well from your opponent. And it's it can put you in a situation where your opponent's playing catch up.
I thought he was gonna go for. Oh, this is really good. It's against Torella. The double, or maybe not. Oh, no, okay, I like this. He's going to set up the Infiltrator to hit the Imperial Enforcer so he can knock it out next turn with the Nausicaa Brigade. That's very solid tempo.
So Meleeman has to buff I apologize.
Such good tempo.
The Enforcers and the Brigades. So here comes more setup from Meleeman. So right now, since Gameking is not holding or playing any of his Nilfgaardian Standard Bearers, and Meleeman is able to establish the Brigade and the Enforcers, Meleeman now is favored in a longer round here. But Gameking is able to at least take out the disloyal unit that he created with the Infiltrator, doing what the Nausicaa Brigade does best. Just hack down those disloyal, traitorous.
Please wait, Your Excellency.
I love. Have I said I love this deck? it's so cool. And we've been talking a lot about Gameking's hand, but Meleeman has a very solid hand as well. He has so many spies, like another emissary. He could bob one of the emissaries with the Enforcer and resurrect it with the Vic of Aromatic, and he could have he get a lot of this can snowball to insane amounts of value. While Gameking's deck is not as snowbally. It can provide more instant. Obviously, you have the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer, but it doesn't get as crazy as this. We're gonna see a lot of strength being generated here with all the spy synergy, double Imperial Brigade and an Enforcer on the board. That is just so good.
Gameking's trying his best to prevent this setup here, but it's we've seen an Enforcer already get cut down, and but the Emperor Brigades now are getting a little bit big now, and value is going to be generated still almost every turn here from Meleeman. Gameking is tie after tie after tie
excellent
right
pass.
now.
No, excellent pass because he's got one card over him, and Meleeman wasn't able to catch up.
Now Meleeman's got to make a decision here. He was fine to take the tie before.
This is really bad for him, especially with the Guardian too.
And being down a card as well is very unfortunate.
This is huge for Gameking because not only is he going to force him to either go into a draw with one card less, or just take the round -2. He's also going to really hinder his draws because he's going to draw 2 cards and they're both going to be Guardians. So it's going to be really because if he takes the draw now, he's going to be stuck with a Guardian. And especially with the increase in the power level of bronzes in general, Guardian is just a very bad card. The Lesser Guardian, the 6 strength guy.
We're talking about the Lesser Guardian that is created in your opponent's deck. It's the Guardian basically just jams up your draws, forces you to make a mulligan that you maybe weren't planning on making because holding onto a 6 strength bronze card. You said it, man. The bronze cards right now definitely rose in strength, probably just to make each turn a little bit closer, the disparity between the power level of cards. Golds have a lot of utility right now. 6 strength bronze is not very good.
I really like that he went for the Raw Tosser here. A Raw Tosser is not really an efficient card in the mirror, especially when your opponent's playing the Nausicaa Brigades.
Yeah.
It's just very easy to disrupt.
Meleeman angrily hovering over the Guardian because he knows what it's going to do right now. We know Meleeman's going to draw 2 6 strength no ability bronze cards right now, and he's going to have to get rid of one of them and live with the fact that he has another one in his hand. Guardian.
Oh man, Guardian. This is so devastating. This is actually really devastating. I think people haven't realized the Guardian is better than before because of the point we were talking about earlier. A 6 strength card is just so underwhelming in today's meta. It's just really bad. And Meleeman is going to dry pass and try to get that out of his hand as well.
It's it's such a tricky situation. Going down, pushing into this round is very difficult. Not only because of the disadvantage of the cards, but also Meleeman has a card in his hand that is not spectacular because it's the Lesser Guardian, but on top of that, Gameking knows that Meleeman has it, so Gameking is the Guardian does. It's such a great Nilfgaard card. It disrupts strategy, which is something that Nilfgaard is has always kind of had in the background. But it also gives you information because you know that Guardian is on top of the deck. You know that it's in the hand.
It's actually really devastating in this particular match against Calvate because again we're in the same position in which Meleeman was before. English, he has Calvate and Kahir.
Yeah.
And he also has Rainfart into Joaquin potentially, and I'm pretty sure in one of those 3 plays, the Guardians are going to get in the way.
Yeah, they're going to get in the way. Meleeman is not going to be happy to see them. I mean, it's possible that he dodges them, but with only 10 cards left in the deck and like all the stuff. Like,
Also, if he goes for like Emissary,
yeah.
you could like they're going to disrupt that too. Like it's really good in this matchup. Like it's.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see a card like the Guardian, who's so often underlooked because of the high quality of silvers that Nilfgaard possesses. I love seeing it just be so good here.
Especially when like
buffing his unit in his hand. People forget that the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer can also buff revealed units in the hand as well. I like that play from Gameking. Very conservative.
I think it's great. Like Nilfgaard saw like a little bit of some landscaping done when some things were tweaked, but I think that the general flavor of Nilfgaard was kept more or less intact. But we get to see
I love it.
Just a lot of extra tools for Spy and a lot of very creative options here.
Spoilers, I like Nilfgaard. See, this is what we're talking about.
There's
Like
one
the
right there.
Lesser Guardian just get. Oh man.
I think it's interesting. We're talking about the quality of silvers, and we see Iris being included in a lot of spy decks right now. Both players are fans of Iris because it's the Nausicaa Brigade synergy that really makes
it's just such a strong combo.
And Rainfarm.
I'm honestly like I'm gonna start running it again myself. I stopped playing it, but I think I'm definitely missing out. I used to play Iris a lot more. But it's just that with Nilfgaard, like the silver slot is so contested. It's just very difficult all the time. The spotters are not really gonna be that great here. I mean, they're still 13 strength bronzes, which is really good, right? But he would have definitely benefited from having a bit of a stronger card to reveal over Leo. But Gameking in a very solid position right now. Both players with even card stays, and Gameking already with a very nice lead.
Hi there, Lesser Guardian. Good to see you. just making it just a little bit where I mean the Enforcer in a long round is exactly what you want.
This is what we're talking about too. Like if Rainfarm pulls Joaquim, it'll get the Lesser Guardian now, unless he Kahir's it or Kahir's Cantarella and like puts it at the bottom of his deck. Like Lesser Guardians are really disrupting Meleeman's late game here.
It's really interesting when we got a chance to actually go to CD Projekt Red and see Nilfgaard for the first time. We knew right away that Nilfgaard mirrors were always pretty crazy, but it's really interesting how the Guardian, because what Guardian does and puts the card on top of the deck, and how Joaquim de Vet works by playing the top card in your deck. It really seems like it's like a great mirror tech. So
yes, it is.
In a situation where Nilfgaard is in a pretty good state right now. I think that the Spy archetype, we've seen a lot of it in the tournament. We've seen a lot of it on the ladder. That's a great choice. If you expect to see a lot of Nilfgaard, the Guardian is quite good.
We see Rainfarm being played here by Gameking going for Joaquim and pulling the Guardian Standard Bearer. That's excellent. That's a really solid unit. I mean, it's obviously very large and it's susceptible to removal, but we see Meleeman has no way to actually eliminate it. And that's because of how buffed it is and because Meleeman has no big target removal in his hand. That Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer is looking to get some very nice value. 8 more strength is going to provide with those 4 soldiers in the hand of Gameking. That's very. Oh man, this deck is. Have I said I like this deck?
I mean, in the situation Meleeman would like to be, he'd like to be in a situation where you can play Infiltrator to turn the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer disloyal and then Menno to take it out. But that he doesn't have either of those combo pieces right now. Kahir and Rainfarn are at risk of not really getting what Meleeman wants through the Lesser Guardians being in the deck. So, I mean, Cantarella right now, he may have an option to put the Guardian. So the Guardian's going to go to the bottom of the deck, so that's no longer an issue. But where's that other one?
And he gets Joaquim there. That's actually very solid for him. He's also lining up that Siege Drill for the Marigold's Hailstorm. And I think he needs to ping anything that's not in the Siege Drill. That Marigold is looking to have some very nice value, but Meleeman is really behind right now. And Spotters representing like 15 strength swings here with the 8 of the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer. Gameking has a lot of power left in his hand. Like not only does he have very strong follow-up plays with the Spotters, he has the big finisher. He has Infiltrator into Menno to eliminate like a very big target, which is probably going to be what this Joaquim pulls up
Could
for
be
Meleeman.
a Lesser Guardian though.
This is
pretty big. Now,
dude.
if Melee is able to secure Menno at this point through, we don't know what Kahir is going to look at, so it's quite possible that that Meleeman can actually solve the issue of. It's interesting because Meleeman's holding Hailstorm and Gameking at no point in this round had a Rolock unit. Gameking has been able to position his units and disperse the rows because he saw the Hailstorm earlier. But in this case, because Meleeman has been able to play both of his spies on the siege row, plus the Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer came out beforehand.
He's going to search for it now.
I mean, it was really good that he has Hailstorm for the siege row, but he'd be happier to get Menno just to take that Nilfgaardian Standard Bearer out.
A clever maneuver.
We're going to see what Kheir's looking at here.
Clever maneuver. There it is. I think that's a very easy pull for him. Even with the presence of Hailstorm in his hand, you definitely go for this.
Yeah.
You deny the future value, especially because you know that he has 2 soldiers at the very least in his hand. Yeah, that's a very strong swing for Meleeman, almost bringing him to Gameking's score. Gameking had a tremendous lead on him, but now it seems a little bit more even. The thing is, Meleeman has no way to stop the Infiltrator into his own Infiltrator, and then Menno just knocking that 90 strength unit off the board, and that would be a tremendous swing.
I mean, Meleeman, I guess Assassination is for Iris in this situation where there's really no other way to trigger it. I mean, Vanamar is not capable of doing enough damage to Iris outside of applying applying the frost and frosting it out, I suppose. But Iris is a wash in this situation where both Irises are going to go off. Gameking has a much easier way to make that happen.
I think now you play Iris.
Yeah, Meleeman uses a lot of loses a little bit of value in Assassination, just a little bit. I mean, it's going to ultimately create the Iris, which Iris will answer Iris in this situation.
I think that's the perfect moment to play Iris, because if it does get buffed by the opposing Iris, it's still at 8 strength, so it's still vulnerable to Assassination in 1 hit. So I think that's
very good point. And now with Meleeman seeing the interaction with Assassination not exactly being what he expected in the last round, now he's probably happier to know that there will be no locking that occurs. Iris will proc, and Iris will at least benefit both, and with that buff that could be applied to Iris, the Assassination would then get full value, the full 16, very beneficial as well for Meleeman, as this game is still pretty close right now.
I'm looking at both hands, and Meleeman does have relatively powerful plays, but I think Gameking just has massive potential here with the Menno.
It's very specifically the Menno.
This is going to be a huge swing, especially because he's able to trigger with the Nazca Brigade, Boomba, and he does. Yeah. Okay, that's unfortunate for Gameking. This is perfect for Meleeman, actually. Iris getting the buff, so that makes Assassination more valuable. He's actually going to be able to obtain the 16 points from it, and we're going to see another nuke, ladies and gentlemen.
18 points on the Siege Row for Meleeman's Hailstorm, and the additional 15 points that could be represented by Vanamar and the Overdose. Gameking does have Menno and Infiltrator, which means that he'll be able to destroy the 19-point Infiltrator on Meleeman's board, and the game's pretty close right now.
Well, this is really intense, actually, because Vanamar will always represent 15 value here, and this Infiltrator is going to put Gameking up to the 89, and then Menno will be a super powerful swing. Like Menno we're talking about 27 points, so we're talking about a total of 36 points from Gameking, and Meleeman, I don't think. Can Meleeman reach the? I don't think he can.
Strength.
It's close, right? Because the Hailstorm's going to be 18 and Vanamar's going to be 15, but that is not. It's not going to get there. I think we're seeing seeing this wrap itself up here. Gameking was able to.
Wow.
Really.
What a performance.
This one really just kind of played out, right? Like this was some real
Nilfgaard on
Nilfgaard. Even though Gameking's Nilfgaard deck is very different.
Pretty close though. Pretty close. Like this Overdose is gonna put him really close. 5-point difference. What a fantastic match. As spoiler, as a Nilfgaardian fan myself, I really enjoy that. I love Gameking's deck. That's so cool.
It's really cool. I mean, and we just got to see it win right there. So he brought a really good deck, and he was really fortunate to play. I think that mirror is just a really good matchup there for Gameking, and he's going to go up 2-0 against Meleeman. We are in the first semifinals match of our day here. We're going to be following this game up with this series up with Freddy Babes taking on Shaggy, which is going to be also very, very excited to watch those games. And then we're going to get into the finals after that. But Gameking is at match point. Meleeman facing elimination. What is he going to choose to try to get back here? I mean, he's been looking. He's so far. We've seen 2 mirrors. We saw a Nilfgaard tie, a round 1 tie into a round 3 tie. Fantastic for the tournament.
I personally would bring Nilfgaard against Squirtle. I believe Nilfgaard actually has, that's in my eyes, that's the best matchup for it. I think that's where Nilfgaard truly shines, taking down I like to call the tree people.
The tree people.
Taking them down, teaching them the ways of the Empire, because, Nilfgaard can struggle against monsters, for example. But I think Dagon is always a solid choice. And it's going to be tough, though, because Gameking is 2-0. And okay, he did bring Nilfgaard. I definitely agree with that choice. The thing is, Gameking's Control Squayatel, like this variant of Control Spelltail, or however you want to call it, is very strong, and it's very difficult for it to not to get a win in 3 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be Meleeman is definitely feeling the pressure now. He's 1 game away from being knocked out of the tournament, and Gameking is close to be making it to the finals. And if he does, that would be the 2nd time in a row that he's able to make it to the finals. And,
in this particular building, specifically.
Yep, exactly.
And I think that one of the great choices I can see in Gameking's hand right now is we're talking about Spell Squayatel, the strategy generally being applied where you want to play as many special cards as you can to create your win condition of your Dual Plathana Protectors, thin your deck with your Mercenaries, and buff up control the earlier rounds with the Farseers. But Gameking has a piece that I have not seen personally in any matchups that I've seen. Elven Mercenary, I believe the Blood Curdling Roar, it's a special card. It's doing all of those things that Spelltel wants to do, Spell Squayatel, and it also gets a lot of value. It's basically a 10-point bronze card that's also a spell that gets your Mercenary out, and also like it counters Ratosser, which we do know Meleeman is running, so that's also like very solid. Gameking has. Would you say? I mean, we know Gameking does not like Mill, and we saw Gameking just beat up Mill yesterday.
Yeah.
And we see, I was talking to you about how the Guardian is really good in the mirror. This is we probably need to talk about this pass right now because this is a pretty wild pass here.
Actually, this is not that crazy with this deck because Spell Squayatel really thrives in long rounds. And you don't like even if so you're Meleeman, right? You just won round 1. You can't really afford it's not safe to open pass here. Because a long round against a deck like Spelltel is a little bit dangerous, especially because of how snowbally those Farseers can. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see how Meleeman approaches this. He does have the Spy, so he can definitely get that card advantage back. And I think if I'm Meleeman, I play my Spy, my Cantarella, and then I just push really hard to try to get that extra card out of him, try to out-tempo him.
No one can hide from me.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, Nilfgaard isn't bad in the long round because of the Enforcers and the Brigades, and Farseers do kind of take that place in the Squayatel side. Meleeman doesn't have Assassination available, but does have other ways of dealing it, of course, with the Infiltrator available as well.
He has Kalek into Assassin. Whenever I face Spelltel, I always preserve Kalek for Assassin to knock it out because you do have that one shot, that one opportunity.
You definitely have the Assassin will take care of one, and then there is the other one to worry about. Meleeman probably just considering how he's going to be able to worry about.
Well,
how he's going to deal with 3 of them.
The beautiful thing is you can play Assassin, and then you can play the Apparent Forces. You can knock out the Assassin, and then you can resurrect it with the Vicar of Aromatic and knock something else out, which is pretty cool.
I also think that Gameking has access to all 3 of his Farseers here because I would believe that without the Dual Plathana Protectors receiving any buffs right now, Alzur's Double Cross pulling the strongest unit out of the deck. I believe Farseer would be that strongest unit. Because everything else is special cards, Mercenaries, and the Protector we can see still staying at 2 right now.
I think you can make a case for going for Apparent Forces and not rushing the Assassin because after that, when you play Kalek into Assassin, you ping something again, and then you hit it with its base power. So I think I don't see a scenario in which Meleeman will not be able to knock out the Farseer the next turn, but I guess he really just wants to play it safe and go for the removal immediately.
He just doesn't want Gameking to be in a position where he can just be so far ahead. He's got the card advantage at this point, and we could see Meleeman making that exact decision, like, am I going to play my Enforcer now? Because the thing about setup cards and proactive cards is the high tempo plays, like just playing for points, playing for cards is great, but when you start to play setup, it actually it puts your opponent on the back foot. They need to react to that. So while Meleeman would have loved to establish his Enforcer, he felt it necessary to stifle Gameking's ramp up and set up. But Gameking still has, the option to get another Farseer out. Gameking is wary of Assassination, I'm sure, which would solve one of those. But would he be able to be safe playing Ulcer's Double Cross for that last Farseer? Is that something he'll need to do to win this round?
We'll see.
Not afraid.
You should be. I think it's definitely the turn to go for the Apparent Forcer. And you can definitely make the case for pinging the Assassin. Like hitting the Assassin and then resurrecting it with the Vicar of Aromatic. I think that's super solid.
That's a great line of play, I think. Yeah. I wonder if Meleeman is considering that. I mean, that is a great option, and it's getting extra use out of the Assassin that only exists because Kalak wills it into existence.
But he's gonna hit the Farseer. So the thing is that approach it's not gonna work out for him because Gameking is gonna be able to negate that value drop just every turn by playing a special card.
Everything all
I
right.
mean, I think that your line of play with the assassin. I mean, like that ping is just it's going to come right back. Right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just that strength is going to come right back, and
Have strength, my love.
Meleeman has to believe. Like there's two situations. Meleeman honestly believes that he'll be able to get ahead in points and make a favorable pass, or he's just trying to get this round to a certain point where he's like, all right, I'm satisfied now. I think my round 3 is strong enough, and I think that Gameking's round 3 has been affected by the amount of cards. Like Meleeman wants to force out some big cards for Gameking. The thing about Spell Squayatel is that the big cards are the Double Planet Protectors. As long as they're around, that's really all you need in round 3 in a lot of situations. So what Meleeman is not really able to force out a lot from Gameking, because Gameking is happy to play all these cards to take the round, since that's what Spelltel usually does in early rounds, so they can secure that short, quick, devastating round 3.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if Meleeman is potentially playing like exactly how Gameking wants this match to go.
I think Meleeman is falling into the trap of constantly pinging the Farseer in hopes of knocking it out. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just not going to happen. I think he needs to perhaps think a little bit outside the box and try to utilize the spies. Like that's the beautiful thing about the Vic of Aromatic. Like with the that's why I'm like at first Imperial Enforcer I wasn't too hyped about it, because I thought Imperial Brigade was just more reliable. But the more I play the Imperial Enforcer, the more I love that card because of the ability to take down your own spies. Because the only weakness the Vic of Aromatic has is it's a medic, so it's not good in the round 1. But if you have the ability to knock out the weak spies, that takes away all the disadvantages from Vic of Aromatic, and it makes it such a reliable card. And I think Meleeman should be looking into that, because if he's not able to stop the engine that the Farseers provide early on, he won't be able to do so later on. Like, he does have Menno, but that will only take care of one of them, and he may want to preserve Menno for the late game. Menno is actually, in this matchup, it is the win condition that I tried to go for myself, because you want to preserve it for the double blast and the protectors in round 3.
I think that Alzur's double cross was so strong, right? It pulls out the Farseer, buffs the Farseer, both Farseers, and it buffs the Double Planet Protector on top of all of that. And I mean, it's interesting. I see there's Meleeman. This is a huge key right now.
Wait,
why that?
Oh, because he's hitting up
Oh,
the.
sorry,
he wants to hit it with the not. Yeah, he has to hit it twice. He wants to knock it out with the Nausicaa Brigade.
So I mean, it's interesting here because. I think I may have just lost my train of thought on that one. I was talking about the Alzur's double cross, but of course the game will continue and things are still going to happen. But I think that it's great that the setup is. I think. Oh, what I was going to be saying is that Gameking knows that assassination exists, and he played Alzur's double cross, presenting the third Farseer while the Farseer, the other Farseer, was at 8.
Yeah.
Meleeman was really showing that he could have had assassination. Like the pings seemed like futile because the Farseer is going to keep getting boosted up, but by keeping it 8, it was still a removal target from assassination.
Yeah, very good point.
Meleeman never had assassination, so the Gameking's play for Alzur's double cross with a Farseer still at 8. He must have actually not put Meleeman on the assassination, even though Meleeman was showing that he doing everything that was like telling that he may have actually had it.
We're going to see John Calvé being played here by Meleeman. Let's see what he can search for. This is going to give him very valuable information, not only for this round, for the next one as well, especially with Joaquin. Like, I love this synergy. This is why, because a lot of people ask me why people don't play Emir with spies. Yeah,
there's the assassination there.
Yeah, there it is. And it's because John Calvé, the ability to see the top of your deck synergizes so well with so many different things the faction has, like Joaquin, the emissaries, like it's just great. And we see the second Imperial Enforcer hit the board. Now Gameking. This is the portion of the match in which Gameking is perhaps a little bit in trouble here.
I think it's really cool that Gameking played the Double Planet Protector, or at least got the Double Planet Protector from his deck, because it's on top of the Farseers, it's another card that's generating value with every round. So Gameking just being able to stay ahead here is in his absolute best interest, and is probably happy to keep going as long as he can do that.
I wonder what he's setting up.
Yeah, Meleeman is drawing a pretty good conclusion that Hailstorm is in Gameking's hand. I think that this would be pretty devastating at this point. A mere 21 points, but it's only going to get
stronger and stronger, especially as that Imperial Brigade gets buffed every time. Like, he has to be patient with it. I think I think at this point, Meleeman, I don't really see Meleeman being able to get that extra card of Gameking. His hand is just very solid. And Gameking can also work for a potential Ekimara with Dorgare if he's looking to face a very short round 3, and that could really make the difference. Joaquin being played by Meleeman, he really wants to get the upper hand here. Yeah, he's pushing hard.
I think this
and he knocks out the Farseer. That's excellent.
This is actually Meleeman, and with Assassination, we know that Kahir can pull the Assassination for another massive swing. Meno is available to destroy that Farseer. It's and of course a Hailstorm of his own. Even though Hailstorm is nowhere near as potent as what Gameking is able to do right now on the ranged row, I think that Meleeman still has a lot of huge tempo options on top of a Hailstorm of his own. Meleeman is honestly, I think he's looking for a situation where he can pass ahead here. The Hailstorm is going to be the play that has to be made, I think, by Gameking if he wants to keep this in like the best situation.
But Meleeman is not done. He's got the nuke. He's still got and the thing is, he does have Ethne, which can potentially bring it back again for him, because Meleeman is like 12 points behind right now. The beautiful thing is, because he has double Enforcer, he can immediately knock this Iris out, so he doesn't even have to set up for it or anything, because both of the Enforcers will trigger. And she's Satinus, she's going down, and apparently when she dies, she
flipping it right around. He gets that 15 points right back. It's really interesting. Gameking is holding a Renew that has no pull because this went into a very, very quick round 2. Zoltan is the only gold card that's been played by Gameking, so Meleeman can potentially tap Gameking out of plays, which is pretty scary considering you know Gameking has to win this round because he instantly passed in round 1. Something that happened during the Gwent together, it was so fast at one point, I think that we didn't realize right away. But that was a fast pass for sure. Gameking has to really fight at this point. But Meleeman, Meleeman can push this all the way down to force Gameking to play as much as he possibly can. And the Renew is tough. Renew is dead weight at this point.
That was a very powerful play by Gameking, but Meleeman is not giving up. He's determined to get that extra card out of him, and I really like his approach. The raw tosser here is really weak. I like the fact that he's going for the Nausicaa Brigade instead. Gonna hit Joaquin most likely. I mean, he should hit Joaquin. There we go.
I mean, yeah, it's and then of course the Enforcers are gonna keep triggering. I think
this is gonna reveal that he has Marigold. If he picks his shield, it's definitely gonna reveal that.
Which I think he's probably okay with, because I think Meleeman has basically made the commitment to. I mean, he's got a great board to push. Like he's got the 2 Enforcers, he's got the Brigade that's always ticking. He's got very powerful cards. Meno's so strong, and Kahir's got Assassination, which is that's 20 points right there. So Meleeman could push this all the way, and the Renew could be the difference. The Gameking will have basically a 0-point card in his hand, which is pretty tough when the game is tied at this point.
Because he was able to play Cantarola, like there's no reason for Meleeman to not continue pushing. Like he doesn't have to win this round, and he can get everything out of Gameking. And if he continues to do this, is what you mentioned earlier, that Renew in his hand is dead. That Renew does nothing.
And like Gameking, Meleeman knows how Gameking wins this game with the Double Thunder Protector.
So this is what we were talking about earlier. The Ekimara. This is what we were talking about earlier. He should eat something that's stronger than 1, so it's not vulnerable to another Infiltrator Nausicaa Brigade combo, which could happen. And also above 8 as well, because you don't want him to get knocked out by Assassination too.
Now we saw this in yesterday, where the players are happy to consume gold units when they have Renew in their hand. Now exactly.
Yeah. I did it. Yeah,
Renew is live.
I keep missing that because I'm just not used to you being able to do that. You know what I mean?
I think Renew, it's so good, especially with every faction having access to a consume. Dorgray really flexing in that way.
That's really good. I like the fact that he didn't go for the Assassination there. This is definitely better.
I mean, Meleeman is still in a good position to keep pushing. That hasn't really changed. It's just Gameking is now doesn't have a dead card in his hand, and is able to. I think we'll have to see here. That extra card Zoltan makes a huge difference, as well as the bear also represents 10 strength plus all the buffs that the Farseer and the Protector receives. Gameking should be able to. It's going to be mostly about Meleeman's decision on when a pass is going to occur here, or if he's just going to keep pushing. He wants to see all the Protectors, but as long as the Protector exists, and I believe there are rallies in Gameking's deck as well, but as long as there's a Protector out there, it represents a huge single card play.
Use a paint.
I think Meleeman's going to probably commit the Hailstorm soon because, we talked about how in a short round 3 Hailstorm goes from being very, very good to not as good.
He knows Hailstorm is happening, so he's actually trying to disperse his own rows as well. This Zoltan is very nice.
It's
very,
interesting.
Very nice.
He's only moving that one emissary, leaving the Ekamara and the Protector on the same row.
But if he moves one of those to his row, then that row becomes very strong too.
It's just trying to.
This Mano, oh my
this Mano
Lord, this is so strong. This is, I think this is it. I think this is where he gets the extra card out of Gameking. But the thing is, with those 2 cards that he has in his hand, he kind of has to play them anyways.
Yeah. I mean, Vanamar really is only good if he, in a long round where a board's already been established, or in a round that's going to be long if you ever decide to play the weather. Although I think the Overdose is always pretty favored, and since it's a situation with no weather, like Meleeman has 2 cards that you don't really want to take that into round 3, and this is probably going to go down to the last card here. Gameking's going to fight to win this round.
Because of all the Evan mercenaries, though, Vanhamar it seems like it's not really going to get that great of value because of all the 1 strength units because Overdose hits for 2 damage, but if you're only hitting an Elven mercenary, you're kind of missing out on the potential value of the card.
And
Hailstorm goes down.
There are 5 1-strength units.
Face, look at his face. He's like, oh, he's 30 points behind.
He's just got to play everything at this point. I think
Vanamar,
it doesn't even matter if Vanamar kind of whiffs 5 times. I think it's still pretty good.
The Empire with the 2-0 victory over Spellscoia'tael. This is what I was saying earlier. Like, there you go.
Great job by Meleeman
well
there.
Done.
I mean, it was really about Gameking was able to establish a lot of great setup, like with the Dual Planar Protector always ticking, and he got with access to all 3 of his Farseers, some great spells as well, and being able to actually utilize that Renew in the end there with Dor Gray on the Consume, establishing potential carryover. But Meleeman just pushed, and his setup was a little bit better. Those Enforcers and Brigades really just hard to deal with.
Yeah, that was a very good display. I love how he really pushed hard. Even though Gameking was able to actually reutilize Renew, or utilize Renew, it just wasn't enough. It's like I said earlier, Nilfgaard has very good tools against Scoia'tael in general. The ability to because Menno is such a powerful source of removal, and a lot of their win conditions, especially that archetype, are very large units. So it really it also the flexibility. I think there's a lot of tools that Spy Nilfgaard has against the faction, and it's nice to see Meleeman recognizing that and going with that instead of because the standard lead would probably be Dagon, because Dagon is the most.
There will be no negotiation.
Flexible with matchups, but Meleeman really acknowledging well what he needs to bring, and now I hear Dagon. I hear Dagon. He's still he got that win, but Gameking is only 1 win away from reaching the finals. Meleeman cannot afford any more losses, and this matchup in general is going to be very interesting. We see the margin that's actually really good here.
Yeah, I mean there's Spellscoia'tael is I think. There is an earlier version of Spellscoia'tael that we saw in Gwen it was a little bit it felt like it got stale very fast. There's a lot of spells and protectors, and that was kind of the whole thing it did. With the Farseers and with some of the inclusions that Gameking has added, like the Blood Curdling Roar, we see Last Wish being played in Spellscoia'tael right now. We see one of Gameking's favorite cards, Aglaé, as well. It's a card that he really believes in, especially in a meta where Hailstorm is everywhere. You can likely get at least that from Aglaé, and then some matchups give you some more interesting tools to play with. But I think that the richness of the Spellscoia'tael deck list these days, it makes the archetype it was kind of a pain to play against that before. It's not all that different, but you see Farseers being the overall setup play that actually gives you the points to control the round, and it's not really about weather anymore. Gameking again with the instant
open
pass.
And I think we're easily going to see the carryover play from Meleeman here. It's very interesting that you point that out. I agree completely. I think Farseer is to Spellscoia'tael what Alba Spearman is to Mil Nilfgaard. It's that resource, but I think Farseer is actually way more impactful overall for the archetype. Because Spellscoia'tael has been around for a while, it's nothing new, but it never really achieved that tier 1 status due to its lack of power in round 1. And Farseer really helps that a lot.
It gives you the bodies.
It gives you the strength. Because, Spellscoia'tael has always been really good at removing things, but you also got to play points yourself.
Yeah. And it was a very weather-centric deck at one point. I think the Farseers just kind of flipped that around.
Double Gwentslam.
Yeah,
double
Gwentslam,
Gwentslam
yeah.
into both Farseer and the Double Blathana Protector. Very conservative, but very like low tempo, but overall like massive value there.
Meleeman can. It's interesting. We may actually
He's
see.
playing around Marigold.
It's interesting. Like Meleeman, it's really tough to pass on Spell Scoia'tael. Spell Scoia'tael is like great in a long round, great in a short round. It's just tapping out the resources is Meleeman's best option, and it's kind of too bad because the way monsters can develop, like Meleeman can put Gameking in a situation where he has a lot of points to overcome if he goes ahead and plays Woodland Spirit right after this, which he may go ahead and just play because that's a totally fine play. And he might have to review the point disparity to see if it's like worthwhile to actually get ahead by an amount of cards. Like if you can get 2 cards, that's great. It's tough to get that point lead, especially once Gameking's done setting up his snowballing units like the Farseers or potentially a Protector on the board as well.
He's setting up the double Ran Warrior egg consumption engine. That Harpy comes out of the deck. Meleeman with a very nice lead, but the thing about he is in the driver's seat now. Like he chooses when to pass, but I think we're gonna see a rather long round from Meleeman, at least until he plays all his carryover. Like he wants to make sure. In this matchup, it's kind of tricky because
Meleeman's body language is just fantastic.
Yeah,
by the
I love
way,
it.
like, you
Yeah,
can see he's still kind of thinking about that open pass. I think every play he makes, he knows that like he is in control right here. Setting up that engine we're talking about, very good. He does have to get these Harpies out of the deck. He doesn't really. It's just. He's trying to. It's. I really enjoy watching Meleeman play.
He's really fun to watch.
He's trying to get rid. He's trying to pop these Quen right now, and the Harpies aren't doing it for him.
Well, the Harpies hit the lowest unit, right?
Always, they do always hit the lowest unit. That is correct. Thanks for that one. But I mean, it's just at this point it would help. But Woodland Spirit, I mean, he's going to go for the triple Farseer. Yeah, this is super strong. Like
Not afraid.
Not afraid.
It's so
Should
good.
be. I love that voice line for the Farseer, by the way. I don't know.
Gameking being able to pass instantly and set up basically the round 1 win condition with the Farseers in round 2 and being fine in a short round. We didn't see Gameking instantly pass yesterday.
No,
I
we did not.
And so, but it seemed like he was.
But it's something that
comfortable.
people were talking, like certain players were talking about yesterday with this. I believe it was Gameking and Azakov. And Azakov is an amazing Scoia'tael player because you can see his MMR in the pro ladder with Scoia'tael is just insane. Yeah. So he knows what he's talking about, and he was mentioning how he also really likes to open pass in a lot of matchups actually, due to the nature of the deck.
So we're going to see probably if Woodland Spirit comes down here, that last Harpy will come out, and it will actually get to pop one of those bubbles if that ultimately ends up mattering. I think that Meleeman, since this is going to be the long round, I think that Meleeman, Morwood is very good at any point, really. But
it's very solid here. It's going to stop that Farseer from generating more value. And we're looking at a 27-point lead for Meleeman. He needs to continue. But now is when Gameking's going to start generating a lot of points. I think Meleeman needs to find. He needs to reach. Well, he does have the Frightener too.
I mean, Meleeman needs to find a great situation to play the Hailstorm, just like in the same same thing like the last game. Like it's a card that he's going to use to really push Gameking to his limit. The double Gwentslam, Gameking was not able to establish that in the previous game, where that's like a huge help.
I love this Zoltan Cheve, by the way, forcing the Ran Warrior to eat his brother. Become massive right there. And also lining up a very powerful Marigold as well.
And then Mardrum
oh my God,
basically represents hitting both friends at the same time. The Mardrum is also fantastic against the Neckers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I forgot about Mardrum for a second. That's actually really strong.
Yeah, I think it's the thing is, because it's Ethna, right? The Mardrum on the Vran right now is great tempo, and then you have it on hand if you want to basically evaporate the Necker strategy completely. That Meleeman is.
We also see
working towards.
Egg in the hand of Gameking, which can be extremely powerful if he gets to recycle Marigold. We could potentially see 3 Hailstorms from Gameking this game, which would be very funny.
I mean, Gameking would probably end up it's going to be the same situation where Meleeman may only see, and Gameking isn't really lining up a good Hailstorm row because of the Quen on the top there, because the Fog is already doing work on the ranged row, and there's nothing on the melee row.
Yep.
So playing this round long enough to get value out of Hailstorm will put Gameking in the situation where he'll get it too.
When the white frost comes,
do not eat the yellow snow. Double zap, not really insane value there, but he's doing what he needs to do. He's thinning his deck, and he's also buffing up the double Athena protectors in his hand, and he's starting to generate some very nice tempo. And we see this is a very strong Frightener.
This is great because the Quen will eventually, now not this round, as we saw the weather just tick on Gameking, the 14 strength units, it was 50-50 on that point, but next round that Quen will be popped, and then the Hailstorm will be primed for usage. You'd say that that's probably, Gameking's not going to allow it to get any better for Meleeman, and the Fog will continuously make it lower and lower value. So I wouldn't be surprised if Meleeman's next play is that Hailstorm. Then Gameking has that in Aglace's toolbox, which is probably one of the only spells that you can
This match is
reliably
very
get.
intense at this point. Like
Yeah.
both players have very solid lines of play here. I'm still looking at that Marndrim. It's so strong.
Juicy Mardro,
strength,
for
my
sure.
love.
But I love how he set it up. I love how he went with Zoltan Cheve and he forced the Ran to eat the other Ran. Like, that was so good.
Yeah, it was a great line of play, and it's really, I mean, the great thing about Ethna, and the great thing that has always been about Ethna, and is just being able to, you can play one-ofs with spells that, and you can just basically, like, one of my favorite cards in the game, when you look at like cards like Ethna, and in some respects Caretaker, are cards that can allow you to win in so many different ways in so many different matchups. The most flexible cards are in a lot of cases the great. Even Aglace is another card, like, you know, you don't really know what adventure Aglace is going to take you on in any given matchup, but at least you know that it's probably Hailstorm related most of the time.
Well, she likes the Hailstorm for sure. We see the Ekimar being dropped here by Meleeman, consuming the last egg and providing him with some nice carryover for round 3, which is definitely very important. Like, it's very crucial because since Meleeman is in the driver's seat, he can make it so it's a very short round, and that 6 strength, dude, that just makes a difference. Like, it legitimately does. Last wish, we see, okay. Elven Mercenary could be a nice pull here, preserving the double Athena protector for later and thinning through his deck as well.
Just want to correct something I said. I think I said that the Hailstorm would get worse and worse because of the fog, but that is not true at all because the Farseers are continually buffing themselves, and there's 2 of them on the row. So Meleeman not playing the Hailstorm is absolutely correct if he wants this round if he wants to get maximum value out of his Hailstorm. I don't think Gameking's going to let it get any better than that, but I think that, yeah, it's definitely worthwhile just to hold on to that a little longer.
Not bad. I like it. I like that, you know, stopping Gameking has to make sure that, you know, that fog doesn't continue taking again and again. And getting more value.
Where's he going to place this one?
Because the rally would have pulled out the double Athena too, so it's not something he wants. Will we see another clear skies, or is he preserving that for like a rally?
Yeah, I mean, Meleeman just quickly going right back into it, just knowing that he's down for playing the long round here, and, you know, he wants weather to be ticking. He wants to get as much possible value, and now he's able to shift the row, so the fog is going to get more value, and Hailstorm is just getting better and better.
It's important to know. It's important to know, by the way, how he wasn't greedy with the weather at the same time. Like, he really waited. Like, he played that Woodland Spirit, and he did not go for Dagon until his opponent cleared the weather. Because if he goes, obviously, you know, in this matchup, when you face Control Squareto, that they run multiple first lights. And if you generate 2 instances of weather, that enhances the value by so much. So Meleeman really being patient there. I really like his approach here. But the problem is that Foglet spawning there is a little bit of an issue because it's going to empower the Ran Warrior even more, and that Marndrim is going to hit hard.
Yeah, that Marndrim is going to come down because I think the Gameking is relying on that 100% to take this round.
Ooh, and all bronze cards all bronze specials have been thinned.
That is true. Mercenary no longer has anything to pull. And I think that's fine because, you know, the thin deck is what Gameking wants to just reliably make sure he can get to his protectors. Also being able to play the rally with Ethna or the Marndrim if that's actually what he feels like is necessary. We're talking about how Meleeman was very patient about clearing the weather. The thing is, because Gameking passed in round 1 immediately, Meleeman is afforded that patience. He doesn't have to make any hasty decisions about you know, when he wants to play the cards that are going to be offering him the best possible value, because ultimately, as close as this game is, Meleeman doesn't have to win the round.
This is tricky, by the way. This Archgriffin is very tricky because you are playing around Ethne, but you're also giving Aglaze something to use. So it's like kind of like a lose-lose situation there for Meleeman, like taking something to his own graveyard. Because I mean, he doesn't know he has Aglaze in his hand, right? But definitely a funny scenario there. This is very intense, dude. That Marndrim is going to hit home for a lot of points. We're talking about 24 points. Like, that is massive for a bronze card. Even with how strong bronze cards are, that's still really good.
Was there an opportunity? I feel like if I'm in, well, we're gonna see Uglace right now.
Not yet recovered.
Okay. Meleeman. What spell did Meleeman move with the Griffin? I was
The Bellicker in a row.
Okay.
He just gave him an Uglace play there.
Okay.
And we're gonna see.
All right. So I think that I think that's Meleeman
Is there a good target for this Kieran? I don't think so.
well.
I think you may go water hack here. Yeah. I'll buy you. Sorry.
Karen is not. I mean, Karen as far as like the draw in the third round here. I mean, Meleeman still has a lot of potential, but we know that Marjoram is going to seal the deal here. And we're going to a round 3 with one protector in hand. Well, we're not doing it right now, but
I think if Gameking plays Marjoram after this, he may force Meleeman out of the round, and if he's able to go into round 3 with Ethne and the Double Blast, but he's playing it now. He's being really patient with. Like, I honestly would go for Marjoram now. Like, you're missing out on a little bit of value, but at the same time, well, I guess he's not sure like how far he's gonna push.
You could make it. I mean, you can look at it a couple of ways. The Marjoram would probably make Meleeman pass right there because at that point,
and he wants the round to be shorter. Very good point.
The score deficit would be so much that Meleeman would have no interest in continuing the round, which would be actually fairly beneficial for Gameking, considering the hailstorm is not great in the round 3.
It's a virus.
But I love a lot of the voice lines. In the new cards.
The new ones, yeah.
This hailstorm is going to be like the hail.
And he pops a shield too.
It's like the hailstorm is going to meet this Marjoram, and it's a head-on collision right now. This game's really, really close, and there's two very strong cards in either player's hand. Gameking does have the card advantage.
That's going to force Ethne out of him, isn't it?
I think it absolutely is.
And he has Ekimara. That's huge.
It's a 35-point hailstorm right now, and the Marjoram and Ethna would have to equal that. Would have to get there.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay. So Marjoram itself is 25 points, right? No, but that hailstorm is so powerful. That hailstorm is like it's above 9,000.
Here comes the spores on the Brand Warrior. I'm assuming. There we go. I mean, it's he's gonna actually go ahead and consider.
Well, I think maybe numbers-wise, I think it's smarter for him to.
It's too. I mean, you kind of have to put Meleeman.
Wait. Is it, I wasn't taking into account the Double Blast. Is that how much is that enough?
The buffs are still occurring.
Dude, is that enough? With the fog, okay. So with the fog, it's 2 damage. How much is okay? Is it 11? We got 11, 6, so 17. 29, 37. That's 37, 39. I think that's enough for like 1.
It's funny because like the way you're counting it out right now, it's like it's a vision into what's happening in Meleeman's mind right now.
You got him. You got Ethne out of him. Oh wow.
So Gameking's got to play Ethna here.
Oh, that's huge for Meleeman. That's so huge. He has the carryover, and he's gonna force Ethne out of him.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
This is, I mean, the protectors are not nothing but the carryover and of course, Meleeman's draw. We know he's drawing into Kairan, which, when there's no target to consume, is pretty good, but it's not better than a protector. So
I think Last Wish is the way to go here. Yeah, the Last Wish, it lets him look at that. Nature's Gift, just go Nature's Gift.
Yeah, Nature's Gift, the buffs will be
buffs,
enough.
Yep, and you will buff up the Double Blast and a protector twice. Actually, no, 3 times. This is actually really good.
Artifact compression on the carryover right here. That's probably.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's such a big deal.
Huge change right there.
The tides have turned, dude.
It's all about the draws at this point.
Oh, here we go. Double Blast. How big is Double Blast and Protector now?
I believe there's so much happened there. I think it's 20.
That's so massive.
This is so massive.
He's got him.
Karen has to go away.
He has to replace it. No, he keeps it. It's over.
Gameking gonna take it right
here. Gameking reaches the finals. Amazing display. Wow.
I mean, the 12-point Karen. It's hard to argue that you're gonna get any better than that. And I think that
last wish into Nature's Gift. Oh my Lord.
Dealing with that carryover though, that was perfect, right?
Yeah, that was so good too. Because that carryover actually would have made it like a 1-point victory. So still. But the fact that he got Nature's Gift, and because that Double Blast Protector was 19 strength because he was able to pull the last switch into the Nature's Gift into the Artifact Compression. He was able to play 3 specials in that last turn. that was such a good game.
Yeah, that was such
a good match.
And I think that like Gameking's gameplay with the instant passes in 2 of those games, super confident with his play style, especially in those matchups. The Nilfgaard game was I thought Meleeman played that very, very well.
Wow.
Really kind of exercised the privilege that he had there, in that he had a great amount of setup and a good matchup. This situation was a little bit different here with the monsters, and I think that even though Meleeman had every reason to try to tap out Gameking, it just wasn't enough here. Gameking, come on over, my friend.
Should I interview him?
Well, you know what? You want to talk about that Nilfgaard deck? I can't deny that.
Yeah.
I can't deny
Thank
that.
you.
I know you're going to ask a lot of great questions about that deck.
Oh boy, let's go. Well, first of all, congratulations, my man. That was that was a beautiful series. I think that last game was really good.
Yeah.
Like that last sequence with the last wish into nature's gift and then into the artifact compression. That was
Yeah,
really
I
nice.
knew I had to deny the carryover. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I maybe lose.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was so intense, and the fact that like that marigold actually forced you to play your Ethne probably felt pretty bad at the moment because
Yeah.
you wanted to preserve that obviously for
But
the
then I
last one.
felt like one
Yeah.
card, 19 power, and
Yeah,
monster.
it's hard to
like,
beat.
Even renewing to Woodland Spirit would have not
Would have not
right?
done it. Yeah, exactly. That was excellent, man. I gotta ask you about that glorious
Spicy decks.
Nilfgaard deck. Come on, talk to me. Tell me, what was the thought process behind that? Like, how did you come up with that?
Yeah, okay, I can tell you the whole story. It's
Yeah.
like a story of 1 minute.
Cool story about
basically.
that. Let's go.
Okay, at first I thought I would bring Mill, like some other guys did.
Yeah.
But then I thought, yeah, it's kind of risky to bring Mill, right? Because you can get countered with Finaneke or like people that like try to kill Avalach.
Yeah.
And then like I wanted, like it was like 1 day before the deck submission. And then like I thought, isn't there another good Nilfgaard deck that's maybe better than Mill or like not has the weak points of Mill?
Yeah.
And then I tried like I scrolled through the collection and then like, Leo Bonnet, Soldier, Spotter, Soldier.
Yeah.
Mano with the Infiltrator, Soldier. Everything Soldier.
Ooh.
There has to be a good Soldier deck, right?
Yeah.
Then I built like a deck and then I played on the pro ladder. I won played like 20 games and won like 17 out of them.
I gotta try that
Yeah.
bad boy. Like
And
that seems like a very fun build too. And the Guardian was probably the MVP. Like, yeah, you didn't see a lot of the times like when he was playing with John, but we were seeing it. The lesser Guardians disrupted his Kahir and the John Calvates in both games, like in the draw and in the other game, like in both instances. What's really funny though is how it was actually like that's the first time I've seen the Guardian getting value in like the last round. 'Cause
Yeah.
he knocked it out with Assassination. I believe
Yeah.
Meleeman thought Assassination is still locked when
Yeah.
killing. So he was very expressive when he realized that he
That
had
was
the
the
lesser
tie,
guards.
right? Yeah.
What?
When we had the tie.
When you had the
Yeah.
tie, he killed it with
Yeah.
Assassination, and then he realized, oh no, now I have these, and it messes up. It's also so good in the mirror because it messes up the Joaquim too, like
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
different things.
And if you went first, yeah, it's usually not that good. If you go second, you win more often. But with this deck, if you have the Guardian in round 1, you can like try to 2-0 your opponent because he has like one Guardian 100% in his hand.
Yeah.
And that's like one of his cards is like half.
Especially now that we were to mention this earlier, like the power level of the bronze cards
Yeah.
has gone up. So now lesser guardians are even
now
worse.
lesser cards, yeah,
So
right.
I
And they have bronze cards, so like if your opponent like against Mill, it's good as well because like they don't want lesser guardians,
Yeah.
they want the Aulach and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like I think the lesser guardians were epics before, like the
They were silvers, yeah.
yeah
They were
silver,
silvers,
sorry,
yeah.
silvers.
Yeah. Well, which are epics at the same
Like
time.
gold is like legendary.
Yeah, exactly. But dude, that was amazing. I really enjoyed that series. I think
I
the
really
games were
surprised him
really
with
good.
my
Yeah,
spiciness.
it was indeed spicy. He was talking about the spiciness of his deck that we didn't witness yesterday due to the ban, and it definitely did not disappoint. Congratulations, my man, and best of luck in the finals, dude.
Thank you.
And congrats on making it to the finals twice. You went together in here, by the way.
Thank you as
Very
well.
nice. Good luck, dude.